Compliance Kitchen podcast. This is Sylvia, and today I want to take a look at three different topics. Two of them from OFAC, and one has to do with a DOJ enforcement action, which was a export U.S. origin item, so export violation. Before we get into it, just a quick note that what you hear on Compliance Kitchen is not a legal advice and it should not be used as such. So let's go ahead and get started with the OFAC. This is in the maritime sector. I think this was January 12th when OFAC issued some general licenses and FAQs, and specifically it's general license number 21B. This one supersedes 21A, and it authorizes certain limited safety and environmental transactions involving certain vessels. They list the vessels. It's about a dozen companies and vessels that are actually listed on OFAC's SDN list. And the authorization is extended to these and also any entity in which they have directly or indirectly a 50% or greater interest. What the license authorizes is, and this is only through midnight, April 13, 2023, so it's a relatively short window, but it authorizes safe docking and anchoring of any of the listed vessels. It also authorizes the preservation of the health or safety of the crew of any of the listed vessels. Again, we're just talking about probably a dozen vessels that are specifically listed in this license, number 21B. It also authorizes emergency repairs on these blocked vessels or environmental mitigation or protection activities related to these blocked vessels. Now, it does say that any payment to a blocked person must be made into a blocked account in accordance with the Global Terrorism Sanctions Regulations, or the GTSR. Again, this is only good through midnight, April 13, 2023, and it does not authorize entry into any new commercial contracts involving the listed persons or vessels. Also, it does not authorize the offloading of any cargo that may be on board of these blocked vessels, or any transactions that are otherwise prohibited by the GTSR or the Global Terrorism Sanctions Regulations. So this, again, this is General License 21B. It did have an FAQ, number 1097, generally just inquiring what the license authorizes, which is what we just briefly covered. But if you need to take a closer look at this, this is of course published on OFAC's website. All right, so let's move on to the next OFAC topic that I wanted to cover. This was January 17. OFAC issued several Russia-related general licenses. So it's a license 6C, 54A, and 28B. 6C has to do with transactions that are related to agricultural commodities, medicine, medical devices, replacement parts and components, also software updates, COVID-19 pandemic, and clinical trials. The 54A authorizes certain transactions that involve Vion Ltd. Or VEON, Vion Ltd. Or Vion Holdings BV that are otherwise prohibited by Executive Order 14071. And then we have the General License 28B, which authorizes the wind down or rejection of certain transactions involving Transcapital Bank, and also transactions involving Afghanistan. In connection with these general licenses, OFAC amended 4 Russia-related FAQs. So that would be 982, 1054, 1055, and 1059. 1059 in particular, the question was about the prohibition related to certain accounting, trust, and corporate formation and management consulting services. This was arising out of the May 8 executive order, May 8, 2022, that prohibited these types of services. And also we had, back in September, there was a prohibition on certain quantum computing services. And so the question, number 1059, the FAQ was asking if these the determinations prohibit U.S. persons from providing these services to others who are located outside of Russia and owned or controlled by persons located in Russia. And so OFAC goes into examples, so that's why I want to turn your attention to this FAQ 1059, because they're giving specific scenarios that would describe services that would be prohibited under the determination, and also scenarios illustrating services that OFAC would not consider to be prohibited under the determination. Okay, so again, that's if you want to take a look at the specific examples, that's an FAQ 1059 for you. Again, available on OFAC's website. This is all public information. And lastly, I would like to take a closer look at a recent DOJ enforcement action. This has to do with export controls violation. So this is from January 11. DOJ issued a press release advising that owner of California-based company Broad Tech System Inc., Tao Jiang is the owner's name, pleaded guilty in connection with a scheme to export U.S. origin chemicals without a license to China Electronics Technology Group Corporation 55th Research Institute, or CETC 55 for short. It's also known as Nanjing Electronic Devices Institute, and it is an SOE, or a state-owned entity, Chinese state-owned entity, and it is listed on the Commerce Department's entity list. So what the DOJ tells us is that the owner of Broad Tech System Inc. conspired with an employee at Broad Tech to order chemicals that were manufactured in the U.S. and are necessary for making chips. And so they ordered these chemicals, knowingly submitted false and misleading documentation to the U.S. government and also to shipping companies so that these products can illegally be shipped to China out of the U.S., which was in violation of the Export Control Reform Act. Again, the intended recipient was this Chinese state-owned entity that mainly engages in the manufacturing of electronic components and research, development, and production of core chips. And these two chemicals called photoresist and HPRD were essential to this chip manufacturing process. Now, again, the Chinese entity was listed on the Commerce Department's entity list, so exporting to this company and without a license from the government is against the applicable regulations and is illegal. So that's a quick update from the Compliance Kitchen for this week, and I hope to talk to you guys again in a week's time. Thanks for stopping by as always.